ਦੱਸਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸਪੀਕਰ ਬਾਰੇ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਕੁਲਬੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਥਿੰਦ। ਇਹ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਹੈ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਕਾਲਜ ਤੋਂ ਕਰਕੇ MBBS ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਥੇ 1976 'ਚ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਰੀਹੈਬ ਮੈਡੀਸਨ ਦੀ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਔਰ ਇੰਟਰਸਟਿੰਗ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇੰਨੀ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟਿਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬੇਮਿਸਾਲ ਹੈ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵਰਗਾ ਕੰਮ ਸਿੱਖ ਧਰਮ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਵੇ। ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਨਾ ਸਿਰਫ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਫੌਂਟ ਬਣਾਏ, ਦੇਵਨਾਗਰੀ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਫੌਂਟ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਬਣਾਏ, ਹੁਣ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਇਹ ਯੂਨੀਕੋਡ ਦੀ ਫੌਂਟ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਤਾਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਐਕਸਪ੍ਰੈਸ਼ਨ ਆਫ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਤੇ ਰਾਈਟਿੰਗ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਆਸਾਨ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਆਮ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਟੈਕਨੋਲੋਜੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਕੁਲਬੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਦਾ ਸਦਕਾ ਹੈ ਜੀ। 1984 ਤੋਂ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੋਏ ਹੈ। ਘਰ ਆ ਕੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਥੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਕਿ 10-8 ਜਿੰਨੇ ਘੰਟੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਇਹ ਇਸ ਕੰਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੱਗੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਸਿੰਸ ਦੈਨ। ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਯੂਨੀਕੋਡ ਗੁਰਮੁਖੀ ਦੇ ਫੌਂਟ ਬਣਾਏ ਹਨ ਉਹ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਟੈਂਡਰਡ ਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ। ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਬੜਾ ਇੰਟਰਸਟਿੰਗ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਨਵੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ, ਉਹ ਹੈਗੀ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ CD ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਧਰਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਮਹਾਨ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਹਨ ਉਹ ਵੀ, ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਜਾਏ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਟੈਕਸਟ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਲੈਟਰ ਜਾਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਲਾਈਨ ਲੰਬੜੀ ਹੋਵੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਵੀ ਸਮਝਣਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਡਿਟੇਲਸ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ। ਮੈਂ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤਾ ਕੁਝ ਦੱਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਟੈਕਨੀਕਲ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਡਾਟਾਬੇਸ ਰਿਲੇਟਿੰਗ ਟੂ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਕਨਵਰਟਡ SGS ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਫਾਈਲਸ to Devanagari and phonetic translation of Sri Guru Granth Sahib and easy printing। ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਭਾਈ ਮਨਮੋਹਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਤੇ ਸੰਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਦੇਣ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸੈਂਟੈਂਸ ਬਾਈ ਸੈਂਟੈਂਸ ਦੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਹੋਰ ਦੱਸਣ ਲੱਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਅੱਧਾ ਘੰਟਾ ਹੋਰ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਛੱਡ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਜੇਕਰ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮਾਈਕ ਸਾਰੇ ਮਿਊਟ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ, ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕੋਈ ਬੱਚੇ ਬੋਲ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਜੀ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਹੈ। ਇਸ
तेरा माइक ऑफ होया
अनम्यूट कर ले आप जी ਨੂੰ ਅੰਕਲ ਜੀ ਅਨਮਿਊਟ ਕਰ ਲਓ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਿਊਟ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਜੀ। ਤੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਪੀਚ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਨਾ 4 ਹਿੱਸਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਡਿਵਾਈਡ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, 5 ਹਿੱਸਿਆਂ 'ਚ। ਤੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੋਂ ਇਹ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਕਿ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਨੀ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਬਾਵਜੂਦ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਦੱਸੋ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮੋਟੀਵੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਮਿਲੀ, ਇੰਨਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟਿਸ ਤੋਂ, ਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਫੌਂਟ ਸਿਸਟਮ, ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਣਾਇਆ, ਫਿਰ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਬਣਾਏ, all these things, what was the motivation behind? ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇਹ ਕੋਈ 10 ਮਿੰਟ ਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ ਜੀ। ਹਾਂਜੀ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ।
Doctor sir, thank you for nice
ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਿਊਟ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਮਿਊਟ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਜੀ। ਹਾਂਜੀ ਹੁਣ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ।
So thank you for all the introduction. Actually ਇਕੱਲਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਈਆਂ ਨੇ ਹੈਲਪ ਕੀਤੀ ਤੇ ਕੁਝ ਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਾਂਗਾ, ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਮੈਂ। ਇਹ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੁੱਛਦੇ ਮੋਟੀਵੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੀ ਹੋਈ। Actually there was never any plan. I never thought of doing anything in the beginning. This is what happened. We bought a Macintosh computer in 1984. I'll show you that computer still exists. The one. Somehow you might know it, others probably would never know it because this is from 1984.
Yes, yes.
The amazing thing is, before that, there were personal computers made by Apple. And those of you who might know that the revolution of personal computer actually started with Apple. Before that, there were computers, either big computers or just small tie-like computers, not much used for. In fact, I did play with Commodore before buying this computer. You can do much with it except play maybe a few games on the TV. You have to connect it to TV. So Apple started the revolution with they call Apple computer. Then there was Apple II, which became very popular. Then after that, they came up with Apple Lisa, which was actually made by businesses. It had some hard drive. It was very expensive, about $10,000 at that time. Not very powerful compared to today's standards. Then they came up with this Mac computer, so the big shortcut of Macintosh. And the original computer was very actually not that powerful. It had only a floppy drive, no hard drive. And amazingly, it became an instant success because it had a graphical user interface, so-called mouse and icon on the screen. It has only 9-inch screen. It was black and white, but it became useful. People started using it, and then every year they will come up with a new model. And in fact, over the years, we probably bought maybe more than a dozen computers, a Mac computer, before I switched to actually Windows. So as this Macintosh or Apple computers are becoming popular, IBM certainly realized, which were a big game in computers, commercial computers, big ones, that there's a market for personal computer. They came up with initially what they call PC Junior, then PC, and so happened that they did not create their own operating system. They developed, they depended on Microsoft. Microsoft created the first operating system, so-called DOS, and then created Windows. And by the time they created Windows 3.1, they were very coming close to the Mac computers. And then with Windows XP, they basically became very popular. So those were better priced and could do the same thing. So the issue is, how did it start? Well, it started as we bought the computer and I started using it. I saw something very interesting. Even at that time, they came up with different fonts in English. Those are what we call bitmap fonts, combining dots. Not today's fonts. Today's fonts are outline fonts, which actually are mathematical descriptions of characters, which you can make small and big, just from one font. And this display very smoothly. At that time, those were bitmap fonts. I mean, they had information about the bits behind the characters. But that fascinated me. I said, well, that's very interesting. Maybe I can make Punjabi font for myself just for fun. And I studied a little bit. They had provided a software called it was resource editor. Basically, you could fiddle with the resources, fonts for resources. So I just played with the dots, and A became Uda and things like that. So I created some Punjabi fonts. And at that time, the printers were dot matrix printers. So I was able to print letters or maybe greeting cards and things like that. And computers, not very many people were using computers at that time, but as more people started using it, I started sharing my fonts with others. And that's how it started. Initially just with the fonts. I'll show you some of the early font projects. Are you able to see my screen now?
नहीं जी,
हाँ
जी, हो रहा है जी.
Okay, so I already showed you the real Mac already. This was the one that started. So basically you can see I enlarged those characters. Basically combining dots, you made the characters. That's how it was. And a little bit later, a software called Fantastic, came in the market just to create more fonts. So instead of using a resource editor, it became very easy to make fonts. So this was actually in 1986. You can see the stamp on the, I actually still have that plug. So this is the photo of the screen. You can see, I just called those fonts Gurmukhi. They were of different sizes at that time, bitmap. So, and then if you printed those, this is basically not that sharp, but you could make sense of it. So if I show you the projects from that time, these are various fonts I developed over time. You can see, early on, those were a few of them, 1990, Gurmukhi, PC, I started making, then outline fonts started coming, there were software called Fontographer that helped make outline fonts.
Water bottle. No,
So there were
What did I say, bud?
many different kind of fonts created over time. And some of you may be familiar with some of the names, like Amrit Lipi, Gurbani Lipi, Gurbani Akkar, Amar Boli, Samtol, and many others. These are actual real folders, still, named by the year, a month when as I was creating fonts. And actually, I'm still working on many of those. For example, I created Akash dotted. What happened was the Punjabi school teachers, like Khalsa school, they have to publish some paper, like a printed material where the characters are made of dots so that children can write over it. So they requested me, so I completed these so-called Akash dotted fonts. And so I have created many, many Unicode fonts, which I'll show you where anybody can access. So if you go on, say, my website, this is called gurbanifiles.net, and go to my Unicode page, which is this. Then if I scroll it, at the bottom of this page, all these are Unicode fonts. Amol Uni, Bani, Heavy, Bold, Akash, number, different names. And these are dotted fonts that I added some time ago. So then I also created tools by which you can actually type on, say, Windows-based computers with ease. If you're used to my fonts, it makes it very, very easy. So that's how the fonts project went. But the Gurbani part, this is what happened. As I was, distributing fonts to people, a lot of people came to know of it. There was a fellow who is no more in this world, Jaswant Singh from Southern California. He used to work for Xerox Corporation as an engineer. And he thought that, well, it'd be nice if we could actually type Guru Granth Sahib into the computer. So he contacted me. This was somewhere in 1990. And I said, well, that's a good thing. Let's get going. So as he wasn't, even though he was an engineer, he didn't know nitty-gritties about fonts, how to use them. And so I personally set up his computer and installed the fonts, showed him how to work, how to type. And he started on that. And then later on, we discovered that Guru Granth Sahib has some special characters. I modified the fonts. He kept on working. But after a while, you get tired. This is a big project. So it so happened he became sort of discouraged. He stopped doing it. But lo and behold, what happened was he lost his job with Xerox and he joined uh, another company called Oracle with the headquarters very close to us, close to our home. So he moved into our area. And so we used to meet. So, well, you've done so much, let's get going again. So with his help, with some help of some other fellows, and with my wife's help, we completed the project of typing, but then came the project of spell checking, because as you type, there are going to be mistakes. The Gurbani is very different. So with the help of number of Sevadars, we were able to complete that project. And that completion happened in November of 1995. That's when we made our first Gurbani CD. We recorded. At that time, the CD recording was very new. The CD recorders were very expensive. But we decided we'll distribute only on this. First of all, if we try to fit it on floppy, it'll take many floppies. And secondly, that data can be changed. Data you record over this, once you finish it, it cannot be changed. So even from the very beginning, I thought of, okay, let's convert this into, he created a Hindi font, and then we converted Guru Granth Sahib into Hindi. And then I created special transliteration fonts. And those were simple word-to-word conversions, basically. And then so happened, I contacted something Khalsa, from one of the Guru Sikhs, who had typed translations into a Mac computer. And he agreed to allow us to distribute. So even from the very first CD, we had a lot of material on it, including English translation, but that was in customary format, just like Guru Granth Sahib, page by page, that sort of thing. So those were Word files and PDF files on the CD. So we thought that some, scholars who would like to, use material for their papers, etc., would be interested in. But since distribution was free, within few months, we had distributed like 650 CDs by recording, and that wasn't very practical because recording was slow at the time, so it was taking a lot of time. So then, other organizations also said, well, let's actually do professional work. Then we did this kind of thing with the key map on the back and all the instructions on how to install fonts and all those sort of things. This is version 1, then came version 2, then came version 3. Then I thought, well, it's better to just use the year. So year 2000. Then so it went on and on. So after a while, 2001, 2001C. Okay, so basically D, and after that, in between, a lot of the time we'll just record and mail it, if we were out of those or something was updated. So in 2004, you can see. And after that, basically, I put the material on the web, and there was not a whole lot of demand, but if somebody requested it, we always supplied it, and it was always free from my side. But then there was a Sikh Center of Southern California. They distributed on their own, and they used to charge something. So a lot of people got CDs from them, but those were supposed to be free, but not exactly free. But from our side, we distributed a lot, which were including postage paid. Everything was free. So that was about the CDs. But I also created websites. And I'll show you earlier website of C Group. Not this one, but you're looking at the screen, I hope.
Yes.
Okay, unfortunately, this is coming in the way.
Visible है जी.
Okay, I have to change the text. What's happening is, I'll move it. So this website, gurugranth.org, .net, .com, they're all the same, has been there for a very, very long time. And this is a Gurmukhi to English translation with a phonetic transliteration, which I had created by then. So if I show you first page or whatever, I'll enlarge this a little bit. You can see Punjabi followed by transliteration, followed by English translation. This has been around for a very long time. And so is this Gurbani files dot. It used to be .org. I don't own that anymore, but .net has been there. And that's all the files on the Gurbani CD are available here. They are all the files have been converted to Unicode a long time ago. Unicode became, this is a new standard for Gurmukhi fonts. So I have to explain you, this is very, very important. Initially, when we started making fonts, there were no standards for a lot of the other languages. And operating systems started their own formats, and it became kind of a very messy. Like Mac will do their way, the Microsoft will do their way, and so on and so forth. So then the professional decided that's not the way to go. They created a Unicode consortium to create standards for all the scripts of the world. So then this not only created how the font should work, how the font should be, created, like basically, organized, I should say, for the computer systems. And they basically provided all the information and basic information, and then made it mandatory sort of for the operating system that they should adopt it. So by about 2000, Macintosh had adopted this system, and approximately by Windows 2000, Microsoft had done crude adaptation, but by Windows XP, which is I think 2001 when they released it, they had actually implemented Unicode into Windows operating system. The difference between non-standard fonts, which we early created, like Gurbani Lipi, Amrit Lipi, all those things, was that those characters are basically just English characters with just different shapes, because we were using the same locations, the same keyboard, everything same. For the computer, they were just English. It's just that the shapes were different. But in Unicode, there is allocation for each and every script. There is a separate block. It's like you have a big blackboard with a very big, chart with more than 65,000 locations, and English has Latin, so to say, plus 250. Then there is another language, then there is another language, there is another language. It's just like that. So basically, Unicode is a totally different system than the non-standard fonts. But this is very, very important for the future. All these future developments, and not future, current developments since about 2001 have been in Unicode, and all operating systems have adopted it. And many of you are actually using it every day, not even knowing it. For example, if you type Punjabi on your smartphone, whether it's an iPhone or it's an Android phone, you're basically typing in Unicode. And remember, you don't have to worry about font there, because basic font is in every operating system. So when you type Gurmukhi there, you send a message to somebody else, they will always read it in Punjabi. But if you have typed something in non-standard font, which is the older fonts, and you copy and paste it, it will look like garbled stuff, because it's not, it's going to be unreadable, because it's basically English characters combined in a strange way. And I'm sure some of you may have noticed, if you created some document or you received some document from somebody else and didn't have the font in the system, it's not going to be read in Punjabi. But if you adopt Unicode, that will never be the case for most of this stuff. Although in Gurbani, there are special situations for which there are no solutions yet, but those are very few. I have provided those solutions in my fonts. Okay, so this is to give you an idea of how this started. I had no plans. I just had fun with the Macintosh, started with fonts, but as the technology improved, I created better fonts, more fonts. Then we got into Gurbani. As I got into Gurbani, and then said, well, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. It went on and on and on. And that's how we reached our current situation. And just to give you an idea of what is available here now, I have divided this stuff into various languages and translations. For example, you go into Gurmukhi, Guru Granth Sahib is available in Word files as well as PDF files in different formats. There is a Guru Granth Darpan by Professor Sahib Singh. There's Mahan Kosh. And there is a dictionary by Dr. Gurcharan Singh. Dr. Omkar Singh knows very well how that came about. There's a lot of stuff there. And we have created special files like sentence by sentence, where there's a labeling of who is the author, who is the page number, blah blah. And Gurbani Kirtan is also there. So things of that nature. So if you go to Devanagari, same stuff available in Devanagari. The Hindi translations are organized here. We have a number of translations made available, particularly on Sri Granth, I'll show you. And none of the translations were ever in a strict sentence by sentence format. Sometimes few sentences of Gurbani would be equivalent to one, say, sentence of English or even Punjabi. And sometimes one sentence of Gurbani would be 2 or 3 sentences of English or Punjabi. It was always like that. But for making database, that did not work for us, because if you're combining so many translations, everything has to be synchronized in such a way that when you click it, it automatically takes information from there and brings it back. If the things are hazardous, to arrange them in a format which is easily accessible becomes difficult. And secondly, sentence must make sense if you're presenting it, say, like in the Gurdwara, etc. So that transliterations, everything is here. So then special Bani, this includes, like Asadiwar, Nansab. I'm not going to, you all know that. So the Bani by Ath. Now, some scholars like the fact that they want to work, say, on Bani by Guru Nanak, which a lot of people do. I mean, they take up or by some other author. So I arrange that those files are available with the translations. So it's very easy to work. Then even in Shahmukhi, with the help of some people, we converted that it's available. You can read Guru Granth Sahib in Shahmukhi. Now Dr. Bansal has also digitized its Shahmukhi translation, and hopefully that will be available soon. So there are other related files. I put it under that. And one of the very useful things is the old fonts are here. And something I call text trivia. And it's tidbits about Guru Granth Sahib, which can be very useful to scholars. I even created PDF files for the smaller devices. And if you go to this is the most important page: Unicode fonts and information. If you I'll provide all the information as to what Unicode is, or how it works, what is unique about it. I'll go over a little bit later on. And so it's all on this page, which is the most important page for many of you. So I think I'll sort of end over there so far as giving you an outline of how it started, how it progressed. If we get into too many details, that will take too much of a time. I would rather spend more time being helpful to you.
ठीक है डॉक्टर साहब नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन ਸੀਗਾ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਕਵਰ ਕਰ ਗਏ ਹੋ ਉਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ what is the timeline of various achievements? I think you have already discussed it to some extent. Do you want to say something more about this question?
No, I think that should be enough.
Okay. Now, next question was from your side, what is available today to explore and express Gurbani? I think you have in part also covered this.
No, that's where I'm going to spend some time.
So let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, first of all, material not only available from my side, a lot of people, because we made everything accessible, word files, and databases to everybody. So a lot of people have created various websites, search engines, including many apps. So besides what I'm going to cover, many other things available. But one thing that you would notice, most of the scholars prefer using what is called sirigranth.org for exploring Gurbani. The reason is very simple. It's very elaborate, very easy to use, and you can copy and paste. And that's the best part of it. From many other apps, that's not easy to do. From the web, it's very easy to do. But before I get into Sirigranth, I just show you this gurbanifile.org. I don't think I want to spend more time on this. But let me show you that one of the very good contributions is Tika by Professor Singh. And the good part is now it is also converted to Hindi, Devanagari. So when you go to gurugranthdarpan.net, this is the page you see. So first you have to decide which one. And a lot of people say they don't know Gurmukhi, they know Devanagari, they can select that, but those who know Gurmukhi, they can select that. So if you select this is the page of the home page of Gurmukhi. You can either go directly to a particular page, you can go to ROG index, or you can go to page 1, or you can go to intro. So let's say we go to ROG index, you click on, say, maybe 3 ROG. So this is how it is organized. There is a Gurbani. This is usually the way Professor Singh did was Shabad by Shabad. So you can see different colors. Gurbani text is in different color. The note text is in different color. There's a Padarth is in one color. Then actually Padarth and Artha are the same color in Punjabi part. In Hindi, I made it different. And you can see some of the changes. I use equal sign instead of using a hyphen sign, because hyphen can be confusing, and we use hyphen in general for other purposes as well. So this is how this website is. So if I go back to, say, the Hindi part, I want to show you that. So Hindi have organized even further. This is organized in a verse by verse form. There are both. You have to select from the home page, which if you want to select, say, Chabd Vichaar, you click here, otherwise, say, so I'll go to page 1. And let's go to the next page because this is too much. Okay, so you can see Gurbani text one way, both are different color, earth different color, and notes in different color. So it may seem simple, but if you think of it, how many verses are there in Guru Granth Sahib? And to since originally it's not organized by verse, and to organize this verse by verse, there are many thousands of these blocks, and each has to be formatted differently. So this is how it is. So it's the good part is available now. A lot of gurdwaras in India, they actually, when they print Hukamnama that day, they include this Hindi part as well, which will become very easy to do. So I want to show you that, and now I want to show you when we go to okay, now this is where all the fun is. This is called Srigaram. I don't know how many of you have used it. Some may be, some may not be. There are people I know who use it every day. And they can't live without it. If it's due to some reason it's offline, I get calls from them. Because it's such a good tool. And I'll show you why it is such a good. There are a number of translations. Guru Granth Sahib text in Gurmukhi, in Hindi, transliteration, many translations. They are organized in such a way that you can do search in any of these languages. This is a home page, but there is advanced searching. I'll show you both those. The home page is very simple. Here, if you want to search in English, you just type something in English, and it will match that string to the translation of Singh Khalsa. Say if I type man, so wherever there's man, those answers will show up here. This is in the translation. So it's just not going to be in the man word itself unless I type space on both sides. I can do that. It's a string. So now wherever there's a word man, you can see all those answers got displayed here. So I'll go back to Punjabi part of it. So if I select Gurmukhi, in the home page, it used to be that you will have to type a string of text to match it. But a lot of people like the fact that if you type first letter of words of any sentence, it should be able to find it. And that's what we have done for Gurmukhi in the home page. So you can see here I have my note starting from anywhere in a sentence, but in sequence, type first letter of some words desired in a sentence to be searched. For example, if I was to search Vidya Vichari Parapakari, all I have to do is type Vidya Vichari Parapakari, first letters of those words, and then press enter, and I got it. Okay, now I have two choices. Either I can separate that shabad, or I can go to that page where this sentence happened to happen, which will be page 356. So it tells you which page line number, and who is the author. If I click here, it takes me to, it takes the shabad out and displays me that in all those languages. Okay, but there is more to it also. So if, however, if I press this over here, it takes me to that page. Exactly, it shows me where that selection is. I can go up and down and read before it, read after it, copy the text, paste somewhere, and get going. Or I can copy from that search results. Now, in this page, I want to show you, it's not just translation, one translation, there are many. And say if I want to see Hindi text, all I have to do is select. Let's say I don't want to see, all I have to do is select none. So there is no Hindi. I don't want to see Roma, all I have to say none. And in fact, in the home page, I have my option of doing that. So here, the translation is Singh Khalsa, but say I also want, I want Manmohan Singh. So immediately the translation changed to by Manmohan Singh in Punjabi, and I can also change to by Manmohan Singh in English. And I can also have a tika over here. Professor Saab Singh or Firwalpur. So all those are at my fingertips. You see how quickly everything changes? It doesn't take very long, and you get to read many translations, and you can copy the text and paste. There's not a okay. So now I want to go to home page again. Here, say you want to search a particular word, but you don't know how many other variations of it. And we have provided what is called SGGS words. In here, this is the word starts with whatever. You can go to any, say, you go to Sissa. All the words are organized alphabetically. So you can see all the variations. You can copy those words and do a search. I'll show you how to do that. Say I'll copy these 4 words. Now I go to advanced search. I select Gurmukhi. And I'll say any of those words, partial or whole. I will paste the text over here and then do code. So any of those words, the answers come over right here for those words. So this is search by word. But in the advanced page, there are actually many methods of doing searches. You can type here how the sentence begins. If say you know how it begins, here you can type the words partial or whole. Here you can type just like did on the home page, first letter words in a sequence. Here you can type exact phrase, a part of a sentence, but it's like a string of text to match. And if you don't know how exact spellings are, sometimes we don't know about lagamatra. You click here and don't type, say search without lagamatra. Don't type lagamatra, just type the word. It'll search that. Okay. Before I'll just show you a few things of how things are done. Then we can actually, you can tell me what you want to research, and I'll actually do it later on. But let me show you a little bit more before we go to that. Okay, so now say let's go to the first page. Now one thing you will notice is if I bring my cursor over something, I highlight that word and it shows how to spell it in English and gives the meaning in English. But if I click this word, it takes me to a dictionary, and there are a number of dictionaries. There is a dictionary Gurmukhi to Gurmukhi and English, and there is a separate Gurmukhi to English dictionary. and there's the Mahan Kosh. There are actually 5 different dictionaries. And here, depending on your word, you will see those. So, for example, if I type here, which I can, you will see Guru Granth Sahib Dictionary, Mahan Kosh, English translation of that word, just Punjabi to English dictionary. So, depending. So if I type in English, so I got Punjabi, English to Punjabi dictionary. The meaning of that word. So this is about dictionaries. This Hukanama just is a Hukanama for Sri Guru Granth, Golden Temple, whatever that day, it takes you that page. It doesn't separate the Hukanama as such. This is just a link to Dasam Granth. If anybody wants to read it. This is a list of Kirtan headings. So if you select the word and you see all that list, so I'll go to this. So whatever starts with that. None is the only one. So if I click on anyone, that Shabd will be separated for you. So this is page by page. If you want to read it, just don't want to do any search, you type the page here, it will take you to that page, or just go forward, backward, home, read whatever translations you want, select those. Here there are preferences. You can tell it if you just want English or you just want Gurmukhi, you don't want English or Hindi or other things. You can update, selecting that, just update accordingly. It will show you just that. Okay. I'll go to it. It's 5:33. It'll take me to that particular page. I want to show you. I just forgot. Oh yeah. Okay. In here, Gurmukhi text is also in a different format provided by Baljinder Singh. Here, you get punctuation marks. See that? Sorry. It tells you comma or semicolon where the sentence should be divided while reading. Very helpful. So that thing is also there. Okay, I know I'm taking time, but I just wanted to give you some outline or some introduction. That's all can be done today. So in here, imagine that everything is organized in a database. Every sentence of Guru Granth Sahib is in Gurmukhi, is also in Gurmukhi with the punctuation marks, is in Hindi, and then there are many translations. They're all sentence by sentence, and then each has to be labeled with which is the page number, which is the line number, who is the author. So it's a huge, huge database out of which this thing works. Everything is and there are a number of dictionaries, and everything is interactive. For example, you can go to dictionary directly, or within the Guru Granth Sahib page, you can just click on the word and it gives you some meaning right there. But if you click on the word, it gives you detailed meaning from different dictionaries. So, and then everything you can copy and paste into your documents. This is all in Unicode. So when you say you copy and paste it, you include into any message, this is going to be readable. There are few situations that you may have to modify a little bit. I can show maybe a little bit of that. Yeah. Okay, I want to show you a sample of Unicode fonts. These are different Unicode fonts that I have provided on their website, gurbanifiles.net. You can see there are some 3D, some it's called outline. This is like we call it columning in different thicknesses. I recommend using Akash on everyday basis. It has both English as well as Gurmukhi character. This is a regular font, and this is its bold version. There is even a narrow one where the characters are compressed. Now, this is there's a website. I'm forgetting the name. There is a language development department of India government. They have created these fonts, and to give a variety, these are all Unicode fonts. So Unicode has actually more variety available than many other fonts. In fact, many other fonts, they have their own keyboard. That you get into trouble when want to type, say, use another font. So just to give you an idea, Unicode is actually much more useful once you start using it. Okay, now that's how I'm doing with time.
Oh, you are doing good. ਇੱਕ ਉਹ question ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਜਵਾਬ ਦੇਣਾ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਮੇਰੇ ਖਿਆਲ ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਹੀ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, what is Unicode and why is it so important to use that? That was the last question.
Okay, if people are okay, I can show you a slideshow, which I think will be very helpful. If that's okay, I'll try to cover it very quickly. Is that okay?
Yes, 5-7 ਮਿੰਟ ਲਾ ਲਓ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ। ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਹੈਗੇ 10-12 ਜੀ, ਫਿਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕਰ ਲਾਂਗੇ।
Okay. Unicode, I think the issue is that there may be some hesitancy in using it because something different. So I will try to cover areas which give you some insight. So I start with, personal computer revolution started in around 1980, then internet about 25 years ago. Now you know the world has changed dramatically. We are living in a totally different world. It is unimaginable to see any change. We don't know the future, but these last 25 years have changed the world phenomenally and connected the world in ways never even imagined before. So earlier computers, as I mentioned before, had 255 characters. Those were Latin characters in English plus. And Macintosh computers from 1982 introduced different variations of those. soon other languages started to come on, different computers. But the limit of 255 character was a hindrance at that time. So different operating systems started developing different standards. Then Unicode Consortium was created by professionals to take care of that problem. And this organization basically is a non-profit funded to develop, extend, and promote the use of Unicode standard, which specify the representation of text in modern software products and standards. So this is an accepted standard. All operating systems are using it. This is what we call 16-bit standard. You don't need to know technically, just imagine that it has the ability to have very many characters in one font. And there is one font. It's called Arial Unicode MS, available. It comes with Microsoft Office, whether you're using it on Macintosh or using it on Windows. It comes with that, and that has all the characters of the world in one font. And there are other fonts may not have all the characters, but the computer knows where to find those characters. So this standard included Indian scripts in like Devanagari, Marathi, Sanskrit, Bengali, Gurmukhi, Gujarati, Odia, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam. All those major languages, they have their own separate portion in that 65,535 bit code. Characters are basically recognized by code. That's the language that computers understand. So with Microsoft Windows XP had full support for index scripts in Unicode. In fact, Macintosh even had slightly earlier than that. The future development, then gradually even the small devices like your smartphones, they didn't begin with it, but they started supporting it. And you can imagine now you can use Gurmukhi on those smartphones as well. So are so many other languages. So all the development currently happening in the world is in Unicode. Okay, so now the important thing to know is that the way index scripts are implemented, there's a little bit of a shift from the way things used to be. They took Devanagari as the base, and then they had other characters, other languages were kind of modified slightly to create equivalent characters. And one of the things they have done is that there is no allocation for how characters are, say, peri-occur characters or subjoined or even conjoined characters that happen frequently in Hindi. But those things are implemented as functions with the use of a character called Halant or Varama. Now, we never had that character in Punjabi, in Gurmukhi, but the way they have implemented it, that has become necessary in Unicode. So I already mentioned each script has its own block. There is no overlap. So characters in index scripts are allocated corresponding to Devanagari, just like we know Devanagari. So we have similar words now in Gurmukhi, and that could be a little bit confusing to many. So Unicode Consortium provides information on unique requirements of each language. So the font rendering system. So font creation and font rendering, these are two different things. When you make fonts, you have to know how to develop those fonts, how to develop functions within a font. The previous fonts were simple. They were just simply allocation of characters, A, B, C, D, and there were no functions required other than, some character getting closer together, that sort of thing. But now, for example, if you type through with perirara, tada, perirara, then blankly, that is a substitution that takes place within the font. You type just like you would, tada, then halant, then rara, then blankly. But that will make it tade, perirara, and blankly. But that happens within the font. These are substitutions that happen within the font. But the typing actually becomes very, very easy. All those things are provided by the Unicode consortium as to how to handle that particular font. All those functions, when rendering, are used by the font rendering engines. Each operating system has that. Sometimes there is a conflict that substitution within a font may not be rendered properly, but that happens rarely. Now, to give you advantages of Unicode relating to Gurmukhi script, if you make a document with Unicode, it will be displayed properly with the same characters, no matter where you send it, which document you use, which operating system you use, except that URA may be slightly different on a different, say, operating system. And so if you use a specialized font that doesn't exist in the other system, URA will be replaced with another URA. That's the only difference. Just like even today, if you create some document with a specialized English font and you send it to somebody and that operating system doesn't have that, it's still readable, but it's not that font. So it will always be viewed in the right script, so you never lose information. Web page, same thing with the web pages. You can mix different languages, so you don't have to worry because each language has its own. And this is permanent. It's not going to be, it may, there may be some additions over time, which already happened a little bit. But overall, there's not going to be any major change that your previous work would be lost, say, 5 years down the road. No, never will happen. It's permanent. Now, on the internet, you can search in your language and get answers in your language, because that's how the internet is now using it in Unicode. So if you type in Punjabi in Gurmukhi, it'll work. But if you use non-standard way of doing it, it's not going to work. So by now, all of the standards are actually obsolete. Unicode makes it possible you can actually name the files in your language. For example, I can name a file in Gurmukhi or Hindi or whatever I want. I can use Microsoft Word and actually do searches which appear in Gurmukhi. I'll show you that if you want. You can actually sort the text, alphabetize it, and computer will do the alphabetization for you because this is the standard way of doing it. You can exchange data without having to worry about fonts. Now, if you're typing non-standard way, and there's uppercase and lowercase, those things come into play. Sometimes the computer will automatically change it because it's trying to correct it. It thinks it's English, it should be capitalized. That's not going to happen if you use Unicode. Then typing is a lot easier, actually. And if possible, if we have time, I'll go over it a little bit. But let me tell you, you don't have to worry about adhikar tippi. You just type the same letter, and it will be, for example, after Uda, the adhik and tippi go to the right side. It will automatically happen for you. You don't have to type a different tippi. you write no, it will automatically be placed at the right place. The peribindi characters will appear at the right place because that's internal substitution. If you make a mistake of, say, writing something, you write double laga matra, it will actually show you an error, so you know that you're making a mistake. Typing peri occurs or half occurs is easy, just use halant and then followed by the other character. Keyboard input method does not matter. Whatever your way of typing, you install that keyboard. This is just a way of translating your key, say, keystrokes into different characters. For example, Dr. Omkar Singh, he can use a keyboard that he likes, according to Assis. And say, I use my, a more liquid type of keyboard. But that document is the same, it doesn't matter. You can edit this way or that way. That's just simple way of doing it by individual user. But in the background, those characters are the same. So that it makes it possible to use different keyboards and get the same results and edit the document in different ways. You can mix different languages without worry of losing any information. Find, search, replace becomes very easy because you actually see the characters. However, there's a little bit of an issue there. In Microsoft Word, when you search, they treat lagamatra along with the word, with the letters. You can't separate those. But in text, say in Notepad, you can do that. So if you created a PDF file with the, say, using Unicode, you can basically do searches just like that. So logic would dictate that we should all promote this standard and follow this standard. So that's a discussion in brief about this. I hope it was helpful.